All right. Good morning, everyone. It's Thursday, 5:30 a.m., March 26th, and price of Bitcoin currently at $6,600. Okay, so real quick, I wanted to show you guys just yesterday, we were in a small long position on the advantage side. I let my community members know that I was taking a stab at right around that $6,600 area. I think when price was dropping like this way. I don't think it was maybe it was this one actually. No. Actually, I think it was this drop down. This is where we got into the trade, and it was a whole, mess of a day because I was really hoping that after this, kind of drop down, I thought we would at least pop back up like this, but really kind of drag down basically till like the end of the daily candle. So unfortunately, I had to babysit the trade all the way till the new daily candle in this particular area. That was like 6 hours or 7 hours of work, but overall we came out on top. Things look good, as you can see. Entered at 66.41, got out at 67.07, so got about a good $60 move. So good positive P&L. Like I said before, folks, not all markets are the same, okay? And not all trends and patterns of the markets are the same either, meaning that sometimes it's just not easy to trade the market when it's so choppy like this, especially even over here, not giving you clear short or long opportunities, and that it is it is what it is, okay? But unfortunately, it is something that is a part of trading. Okay. Now, if you're good at it, all right, you'll still know how to make money like we do in our community, like I just showed you. Okay. Yeah, we'll take losses here and there, but we'll keep our losses small. Even yesterday, I showed my community members that, listen, like I've made um, on good days, I made 5 Bitcoin. On great days, I made like 9 or 10 Bitcoin, and my daily realized P&L. Okay, but I'm also humbled by the markets when I know that I'm not getting anything great, and I just make 0.05, and I'm okay with that. Okay, that's just part of life. All right. But the thing is, what you need to accept is that don't just size up heavier just because you're greedy and you think that it's going to do X or Y. Okay, be careful in the market structure when things are already choppy like this. Chances are you're going to get torched in either direction pretty badly. Okay, so I do my best to warn the community exactly of my movements in the Bitcoin analysis channel. Like I said before, I do these evening analysis videos. Okay, and I let people know exactly what I'm seeing by the end of the day, what I'm looking forward to, for the people in the nighttime, or the U.S. nighttime, which is, say, the daytime for the time zone in Asia as well as Australia, so they know exactly how to prepare themselves when they watch this video. Okay, and obviously I put up multiple updates to the day, letting people know my thoughts on the price action. Okay, so if you read this stuff, you watch my videos, you understand exactly how I'm positioned in the market, you will get a good enough idea to at least not make mistakes. At least not make mistakes. That at least I can save you from. Okay. Now I can't guarantee you that every trade is going to be a winning trade. That's almost impossible. Some of the best traders in the world have about 45, maybe 49% strike rate. Okay, that literally means that over 50% of their trades are wrong, right? Yet there's still some of the most successful people in the trading world. They're making hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars every month, because that's what it takes. Okay, you will be wrong in the market. That is, I mean, it's not even a question. Okay, but when you are wrong, how you react to being wrong, how much you're wrong by, all that matters based on your risk mitigation strategy, how much you lose, what kind of risk management you have in terms of the capital that you put on each trade. All those things are important. And all those things I like to teach people exactly how I'm positioned in trades. And this is why I show people that, this is important to realize, that sometimes you'll have days like this, and sometimes this will be flipped around where you might be in the negative or you might be really in the positive. Embrace all of those situations. Embrace them all, and then you are, pretty much undefeatable in markets like this, because your capital will be safe, your emotions will be good, and you won't keep making the same mistakes, okay? So with that being said, where exactly are we in price action? So I wanted to clear out this chart right here, and I wanted to show you guys exactly what I'm thinking, okay? So first things first, all right, what we have right now, in my opinion, right here, and maybe this whole structure right here is a form of distribution, okay? Actually, sorry, that's a wrong schematic. It's this one right here, okay? Basically what's happened is so far, we put in a good up move right here, excuse me, put in a buying climax, automatic rally, ST in phase B, show of weakness, UTAD right there, I'm sorry, UT, which is an up thrust in phase B. So all this, basically, all these little abbreviations like the last point of supply, all this stuff really means that the creator, Walter Wyckoff, he basically looked at markets and looked at them in a way where he realized that there's patterns when it comes to institutions or professionals trying to get in and out of their positions, okay? And so this particular case, I would say there's a mini potential distribution happening right here, or a larger one taking place up here, okay? In this particular one, what I see right now is a good amount of sideways movement, right? So in this small little range that we're seeing right now, it's really not that easy to ascertain exactly what's going on in here. It could very well be that we might be in a reaccumulation and then trying to push up, okay? But when we look at this whole thing right here, I think undoubtedly it's more so shaping up like this, okay? Because if you look at this buying climax, automatic rally, ST and UT, that is, this right here, right? Buying climax, automatic rally, ST, maybe show weakness right here, or you can even look at it as, buying climax, automatic rally. Let's see here, ST is, oops, ST is, let's just say, right here. This is your drop down, which should be your show of weakness, okay? UT, which should be this one right here. It should be this one right here, okay? Now this particular one right here, and the way you can look at it as UT is because of this. Let's just put this high right there. Notice how this thing pokes up past the high, right? And so the UT does the same thing, okay? And then it starts coming back down, reaches up towards that resistance area. So something like this, right? So we've basically got, okay, we can make the argument. Now let's just say this is the real resistance area right there. Okay, this is the high, this is the UT. And then every time price comes back over here after this drop, and what we want to see is drop off like that. And that would indicate these right here, which is the last point of supply, and then start selling off, okay? So, I mean, personally, I think that's where we are, in my opinion. Another way you can look at it as maybe, gearing up for the next big up move is, I've showed you guys this chart right here, my Coinbase chart, okay? So, it's fairly obvious that we're still in this rising wedge. We haven't quite broken down from it yet. So we're just teetering on the side of the trend lines right now. But it's very possible that from here, we push up from here, okay? So it's very possible, all right? Let me see here. However, remember that this is a rising wedge, right? So rising wedges are typically bearish, okay? So if they're bearish, does that mean that we have to drop off from here? Well, not necessarily, right? We could have another bit of a push up and then drop off. But then that would change the schematic of this distribution. So I think for now, I would say that the distribution kind of matches pretty well. And also, in my experience, when you start seeing price just go sideways like this, when we've already had this resistance and we took out that high of the resistance like that, in my personal experience, usually this right here leads to more selling, okay? And I'll show you an example of how this looks in terms of a larger time frame, as well as a different asset. Okay, so I want you to check out Boeing right here. Okay, so here's Boeing. Tell me that this right here, what's happening right now, is not similar to what's happening right here, right? Kind of looks the same, right? You see a big run up in price, move sideways for like 2 years, or I mean, I guess a year and a half. Okay. Actually, it is 2 years because January 2018 drops off at January 2020. So this was 2 years of distribution, folks. And this is what it takes for, institutions to distribute, right? And so you can see that right here, right? Big run up in price, move sideways, chop, 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 up move, down move, chop, 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 and then sell off. Okay. See, you can see big up move right here, chop, 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 big up move, comes back down, and then starts selling off. Okay. So, I've seen things like this, in my 11 years of trading. And though there's not ever 100% certainty in anything in the markets, but I would say it's a higher certainty that this could be a distribution versus a reaccumulation, just based on the structure. And also given the fact that, we are constantly hammering on this particular trend line right here, which is the rising wedges, 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch, and now 4th touch. Unless we get a bounce off here, like a strong bounce, today, I don't see why we can't go down further. Okay. One positive sign is we did break outside of this descending trend line right here, as you can see. Okay. So as long as we're above it, for now, one could make the argument that, hey, we're still bullish, because we broke outside a pretty very important trend line right there, coming from touch 1 right there to touch 2 before we dropped off. Okay. Let me see. Another way to look at this is, let's check out the Stochh RSI, right? So the Stochh RSI on 30-minute is actually pushing back up, all right? And the 4-hour is actually just starting to bottom out. Okay, we haven't bottomed out yet, so we have a little bit more room to go. So you could make the argument that, price could have a little bit more downside over the next several hours, and then maybe make a pop-up. Okay, now let's check the pre-market, okay, of equities. Okay, so across the board, we have some, negative structure in the U.S. equity futures, all right? But I think I did read that the stimulus bill that the Senate was voting on did pass. So I'm sure that brings in some optimism in the market. But unfortunately, I think, these jobless numbers that are coming out today are, in my opinion, I think are going to be massive. I think we're expecting, somewhere between 3 million unemployed to maybe as high as 5.5, 6. Depending on that, I think it's going to be pretty rough. And in my opinion, the stock futures have already started selling since last night, as you can see. So, we'll see. Maybe, prices pop back up and a bit of optimism, but then start selling off again once the numbers come out. We have about 2 hours or so to go, or actually 3 hours till the jobless, numbers come out. So we'll see, how things go. Let me see here. As for the daily chart, I did want to show you guys this. I did like the fact that we printed a hammer right there. Basically, not a hammer, a hanging man, essentially right there. And I don't really like hanging mans at the top of uptrends like this. Although you could make the argument that this is, basically a doji, kind of is, but for the sake of the argument, it's more so hanging man because the body is a bit higher towards the top of the wick versus the bottom. So, it leans like maybe 55% hanging man and 45% doji, let's just say. Okay. But for the sake of the argument, just because I'm looking at this candle as, number one, we're at top of a resistance, which is the 6410 resistance. Number two, I've often seen deviations like this where, it looks like we're breaking inside the resistance, but really what we're creating is a small deviation, and then it resumes back down. Okay, so I personally think that in this particular instance, I'm expecting more downside from here, especially if we start breaking down past 64.10. I'd start going heavier on my short, or you could consider shorting, once 64.10 breaks down on the daily time frame. But again, not investment advice. Alternatively, I guess, if you do long here, your stop has to be at least 64.25, or, let's just say at this low around, $6,400, let's just say. That would cover both these. But I personally think that, the way the price is kind of setting up right now, it's like so easy for me to look at this as like, a very easy way to cascade into all these longs right here, right there, right there, So all these X's have long stops just sitting, right? So as price, starts moving back down, this is going to break into this one, and that's going to break into this one, and that's going to break into this one, and then, down lower and lower, okay? And if you guys remember, just a couple of weeks ago, I had said, if you've been watching my videos for a little while, I had said that over here, this is not the kind of grinding movement I like. We actually went short right around this area right here, and we rode some of this down, just a couple $100. I didn't know how deep it was going to go, so I think, we only rode it a couple $100, and then reshorted, rode it another couple $100, and then reshorted. Okay. What happens essentially is, the way to look at it is when price kind of grinds up like this, and then you have, like this higher low, higher low, higher low, but really no conviction in like a higher high. This creates a unique opportunity for price to essentially start blowing back down and start having these, long stops crashing into each other and basically create a big sort of panic in the longs, and they just sell one into the other. Okay, so then you just start seeing, drastic price drops over several days. Okay, so I mean, in my opinion, I personally think that's where we are. I think we're creating a very similar structure just like that. But again, it remains to be seen. I am still short bias, and I know a lot of you think that, okay, we dropped already to 3,800, and now we need to V recover out of this. Like, I think that's just crazy, in my opinion. If you think that we're going to just V out of this thing, I don't know what to tell you. I think what happened here speaks volumes of what is happening internally in, say, the global economy, especially the U.S. economy, as well as Bitcoin. And in terms of Bitcoin, it's getting sold off because it's not seen as an asset that people want to hold on to in times where their lives are at stake, their jobs are at stake. Okay, so I personally think that in this particular instance, we could have basically, a slow grind up, get more people trapped in longs, and then start grinding back down. Okay. All right. I think that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching my analysis. I hope this was helpful. Come join the Advantage side. Again, we're actually opening up Forex, oil, and options starting April. Okay. So before we hike up those prices, y'all better join. All right. Cheers, folks. Take care.